Life is so much fuller when you are calmer, wiser, and happier. If that sounds good to you, sit back and enjoy another relaxing episode of Zen Commuter. Good morning, my friend, and welcome to your morning Zen Commute. I am your host, Tom Walters, and this is Zen Commuter, your Monday through Friday meditation podcast aimed at moving you forward peacefully, helping you live a calmer, more satisfying life. Today, I am very excited to bring to you an interview with Lillian Savoie. Who is Lillian? Well, you know what? I'm going to let her introduction lead the way. I used to feel lonely in my relationships, not as successful as I knew I could be, and longed to integrate my new spiritual ways into everyday life and still be loved and accepted. That's when my journey began. Today, I help women create lives full of love and purpose by creating new balance in their personal and work lives and teaching them the spiritual ways that help me feel whole and complete. I describe myself as a master manifester and love guru, as I've learned to create what I want when I want it. Everything I teach, I've done myself. I'm an intuitive coach with certifications in Reiki healing energy, Kundalini yoga, dance, and gong therapy, and I'm also the author of Fill Your Soul, The Feminine Way. Well, you know what I like? I love it when my guests do their own introduction. It makes it so much easier for me. And if you've been here on Zen Commuter for a while, you know what my first question is. So I will just jump right in. So let's enjoy a wonderful interview with Lillian Savoie. Well, Lillian, why don't we start talking about, Zen Commuter is known for, and that is meditation. What is your backstory in regards to meditation? How long have you been meditating for? Where did you learn if you weren't self-taught? And my favorite question is, what got you to the point of thinking, meditation, let me check that out?
Meditation for me is a space that I can just be by myself and just let the worries of the world go away for about, I try and do a minimum of at least 15 minutes a day for me.
Nice.
Because I kept going to the doctor, the naturopathic doctor, not a Western doctor, and she kept saying, you're stressed. And I was like, I'm not stressed. I have a great life. I have normal stress that people deal with, but I don't feel stressed. And she does this little scanner thing where you scan your body. And she's like, but your body is saying otherwise. Your body is saying it's stressed. So I didn't really understand that. And so I wanted to kind of tap in, what does meditation do for me? And, what does it even mean to meditate? Because my meditation, my husband would make fun of me because I would go into my treatment room and he would say I would nap for 45 minutes.
He's mean.
And I'm like, no, I'm doing mantras. I'm listening to, frequency, music, and then maybe 20 minutes of snoring, right?
I might drift off, but I'm still getting it done.
That's right. Then I noticed, oh my gosh, my business was picking up. Our marriage was happier. The kids were happier. The dogs were less annoying. So I started to really see like a difference in my human life by spending time in my meditative life.
There are two things that resonate with me. The conversation you had with your doctor about her telling you, her or him telling you, it's like, you're stressed. You're like, no, I'm not. I'm good. I don't feel stressed. Life is awesome. So I don't know what you're talking about. The reason that resonated with me is because for many people, and I find this with my students, and I talk about it on Zen Commuter a lot, on this show a lot, about how stress has become so omnipresent in our lives, it becomes the norm. Back in the caveman days, you're just out and about, and a saber-toothed tiger comes, you're like, whoa, like that's stress. I got to run or I got to fight. And it's like, it's very different. What was, okay, things are cool, things are stressed, things are tense, they're chill. But now our bodies, even though we are billions of years away from being cavemen and cave women, our bodies interpret things as stress, even though they're not. Suppose you're at work and you get an email from your boss. Our mind starts creating all these stories like, oh my God, he or she is going to just tell me that my job performance is horrible. They got to let me go. And our brain starts creating all these stories from something that might have been something as innocuous as, hey, just want to see if you are available to do lunch, or if, just want to catch up on so and so. So our
Yeah.
brain creates these things out of nowhere. So, and to that point, every time an email comes in or somebody cuts us off in traffic, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but our body responds to it as a stressor because our mind has taken it there. And to your point, it's like, you're like, yeah, no, I'm good. But no, it's become such, stress has become so omnipresent that that becomes our norm. So it has to go above that for us to really think like, whoa, now I'm stressed. I'm like, no, you always were. And your body is definitely reacting to that stress. You only recognize it now because went way above. So that definitely resonated with me as well, for sure.
Yeah. And I think it's for me, since the majority of my clients are women, I do have a few men trickle in there, right? But they want to stay kind of hidden behind the scenes, you know? So, but the
Tell them
women,
to be proud.
that's right. Let's be proud to get healing in, right? Because,
Yeah,
I mean, just talk
exactly.
about the cavemen days, that's literally only one generation away from
Right.
it's my parents. It's like men
Yep.
didn't go to therapy, men didn't heal. And so the women now in this generation that I'm in, we're all wanting to start our own businesses and be financially independent, but we also want to raise our kids and be there for our friends and go have girls' nights. And so all of those stressors that were not there are here. And so it's like, how can we be all? And the answer is we can't. But
Mm,
we
like that.
can make 15 minutes for ourselves to release that story that your best friend just told you that's stressing you out, or to release that teenager problem that just showed up in school. Or
Mm.
because sometimes in my meditation, I find myself, actually, this morning it happened to me. I was doing some subconscious reprogramming, and which is my new favorite, by the way. And all of a sudden, I had all my clients come and pop in, like the last three I've seen. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, I love you, but you got to go. This is my meditation.
I like that. I like that. Yep.
And then if I'd be on a certain mantra and I'd think, and their name would pop in, I'd be like, okay, send them this mantra to their higher self. And then their higher self can deliver that mantra to them. So then I'm not thinking about them and trying to heal them. They're healing themselves just by me thinking about sending them a nice little mantra.
I love that. I love that. And it's funny because I love it when guests come on and talk about the challenges they have with their meditation, because many times I'm very aware that when I talk about my meditations and the things I experience in my meditations, I talk about things in like connection to all life, images, messages that I get through a meditation. And I'm
Yes.
quick to let people know, I'm like, dudes and dudettes, like that doesn't happen every day I sit down in my chair. In fact,
Right.
I love that you pointed out, just like today, the same thing. I was meditating and I'm like, what Spider-Man movie was it where Spider-Man was meeting all the other Spider-Mans? I'm like, dude, back to breath, back to breath. So
Yes. It's constant reminder, like back to yourself.
right,
Back
right.
to yourself. Like, yes, the world needs healing, but it has to start with us and like having a clear mind. And I think that's why I love meditation so much.
Mm,
Actually, the client before I came on with you, we were talking about how getting to a neutral mind is very important and how sometimes mantras don't work for people. But I was taught in my Kundalini, which I think is very beneficial and it's kind of scary for some people, but Kundalini
right.
meditation is where it's at, in my opinion. It's so cool. And they do this kind of negating meditation where it's like, I am a good mother. I'm not a good mother. I am a good podcaster. I'm not a good podcaster. And you
Mm,
immediately take the, you negate it and come to a zero. But then
mhm.
it also works opposite, which I thought was cool. It's like, I'm sassy. I'm not sassy. I'm aggressive. I'm not aggressive. Or you can do, I'm not aggressive. I am aggressive. See? And it just like, it's kind of like a mind,
I was
like,
just gonna say it sounds very
me-
like a mind journey and a mind
yes.
mind plays.
Yes.
Like, what's going on? I'm like, and it's such a wonderful point to make because I make that point all the time in when I'm talking about meditation and about its ability to help us see things the way they are going to serve us. Meaning that one of the things I deem or use a phrase I use many times is called situational neutrality, meaning that no situation is good or bad. It is neutral. And then we get to paint whatever we want onto that. So, and you might be thinking, well, here's a great example. My listeners have heard this many times. So my mom passed away about 7 years ago. And I think many people would say, like, is it a bad thing that your mom passed away?
Really?
That day, I would say, well, nobody did. But I mean, if somebody was to apply
Oh,
this there, I'm like, yeah, no, nobody's that cold in my life.
I was like, wow.
Like, wow, you got some really tough friends.
Yeah.
That's funny. But in this situation, like if I am telling people I'm like things are neutral, like so some my mom dies, so people would think like so that's neutral, that's not bad. I'm like no. When it happened, of course, my brain, my physical
Yeah.
thing, my reptilian brain said, "This sucks. This is horrible." My mom, who was a source of unconditional love, is gone. But then I came to find out after being able to talk to her a year and a half after she passed away, talking about all the gifts that came from her passing away for her and for me. So the fact that my relationship with my dad is stronger than ever. He and I are always been tight, but now we're like best friends. We're best friends.
Oh,
And he's
that's
awesome.
awesome.
And my mom, she said, you know what? That body that I was linked to, it's like not a thing anymore. I'm
Mhm.
not living in pain every day. She's like, and the things that we learned together, you and I, she's like, you are free to do them on your own and know that you have the strength and confidence to do them on your own. Not that you relied on me, but many times, even though we shared a similar viewpoint, you'd always defer to me, like that I was a source of wisdom. Like your wisdom is not that it's a competition, is just as profound and broad as mine. And now that you're on your own, for want of a better word, it's like you're free to do that, to shine your light without any links to anything other than your wisdom and your essence. So, getting back to my point, like she died. Good things came from it. Bad things came from it. It was whatever I want to paint onto that. So I love that you were able to say like sassy, not sassy. I'm an astute businesswoman. I'm not an astute businesswoman. Getting to
Yeah.
that place where it's like, you know what? We can either paint it on there, but I love the fact that if you're having those two words, there's an energy that comes. So if you say, I'm a kind man, I'm not a kind man, your energy, you feel when you say those two words, you resonate with one of those. And we
Oh,
do want
yeah.
to get to that middle space. But on some level, you're like, yeah, no, I am kind. And that I feel that in my body. I'm not kind. I'm like, no, that's not really me. So I love the iteration of those two separate words coming
Yeah.
together to help us understand where we're coming from. Does that resonate with you?
Oh, yeah. And you said something really profound about when you were talking about your mom too, that also relates. But, we are not who we are programmed to be in this body. And I love that so much because the wisdom, in my belief, comes from a greater source, a higher power. And that is our intuition. And it
I
and
love
it
that.
guides us. And we have to get all of these human thoughts and human programming out of our way so we can even start to begin to listen to our own intuition. Don't you
Love
think? I mean, it's just like we have to unpeel. That's when they're talking about like unpeel the onion, unpeel the layers. It's like, okay, well, what are we getting to? Well, we're getting to our intuition, which is the wisdom that your mom was talking about.
Right,
Not
right.
not her, you know?
Yep, exactly. And I like that because I think about that in regards to meditation as well, is that one of the things I talk about a lot is that we are programmed by society, by our caregivers, by the world around us. And if we don't have a space to understand what truly resonates with us, then we're not really living our life. We're living the life that society says we should live, that our parents think we
Yeah.
should live. And that discordance between what is real and what we are taught to think is real creates a lot of stress. And I love how you put it that we need to just separate ourselves from those thoughts. And that's where meditation is so strong for me. I use this word a lot, and I'm sure my listeners know that, like a cocoon. So you're out in the world, you're hearing everything. And even when you're not turning inwardly, you're thinking about all the thoughts that come at you from all different places, bosses, wives, husbands, and all that. And you're trying to make sense of it. And sometimes you're not consciously trying to incorporate it. It just becomes part of who you are because you're not looking to see if there's any difference. With a
Yes.
meditation practice, we're like in the cone of silence in Get Smart, where it's just like over down and just like societal
I
thoughts.
love that. I love that. Yeah.
No societal thoughts are getting in. Where you're not thinking about anybody else's opinions of who you are or what matters. You're turning inwardly and ultimately, to your point, connecting to that source and saying, okay, we are one now. What resonates with me, aside from society, aside from the people that are seemingly having my best interest at heart, don't have my best interest at heart? When we turn inwardly, all the answers become crystal clear. And the other thing that was important that you said so articulately is about how we know absolutely everything that matters to us in this physical form and in our connection to all life. And it's just all societal expectations of thoughts that just cover that sureness, that certainty, that keep us from that intuition. And maybe I should stop there to talk about that. What do you think it is that turns people away from their intuition? I mean, we all have intuition, obviously, and I'll be the first to admit that when I was younger, I was very arrogant, thinking I'm like, my brain is strong. So, and we were kidding about this off air. It's like, you know what? If I got a problem, brain, let's think about this. Let's get it done. Whereas if I just integrated all parts of my being, open myself up to my intuition, it would give me a different answer. So why do you think people are less likely to tune into their intuition these days, or any days, to
Ooh.
be honest with you?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a multi-layered question, but I love it. I think the first thing that would roll off my intuitive brain right now is that it's the unknown, so it's scary.
Yep, I like that. For sure.
And then I think that also the next part is what you touched on. It's like, well, I'm supposed to be this strong, macho, successful person. And so I need to follow rules and structures and work my way up the ladder or make a business plan instead of sitting with your intuition that says, do this, do that, try this, try that. And you're like, well, that's not what I learned in school.
Right, right.
And I have the perfect example for you, and maybe, and I'll make it shorter. But I had this pain in I call it my angel wing, like the back of the little center part off to the right side of the
Yep,
spinal
I
cord.
can feel it.
Okay. And this pain was really digging in my back for a minimum of a year.
Wow.
And I was just like, okay, I would go, and I'm a self care junkie. Okay. I have to admit, I really have to take care of myself or I am just flat on my face.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Okay. So I get massages, I get acupuncture. I have a sauna that I'm staring at right now. I have a PMF mat. I have a red light mat. I mean, I've done it all, and this pain wouldn't go away. And finally, I just sat with myself over and over again, day after day. And I said, I really need clarity on what this pain is because I've tried everything in the alternative world that I can think of. Everything. And I heard it say, we need you to stop working the way that you've been working, which is seeing clients like hourly, like, kind of, just like a lot of people do, right? Consultation,
Yeah.
consultation, consultation. And we need you to go back to school to get your PhD. And I was like, well, that sucks and sounds expensive.
I'm just going to keep taking aspirin.
Advil sounds a lot easier, and so does my massage therapy routine, right?
Exactly.
Because I was like, wait, you want me to cut my income and pay for school? Okay, that's real smart. So I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. So for 6 months, I fought it. I was like, I'm not listening. Every time I would go into meditation, I'd be like putting a crystal underneath my, little wing. And I'd sit my Tesla lights. My Tesla lights are on. And I'd have this great conversation with my guides. And I'd be like, please remove my pain. And they'd be like, We already told you how to remove your pain.
We're,
I was like,
hello.
I'm
We
going to
already
need a
had this
different
talk.
answer.
Yeah, exactly. I'm asking you again because I didn't like the answer you gave me last time.
Yeah. So it's like, well, shit, they're not giving up. My intuition is not giving up because I've been telling myself that I want to travel more and be more mobile. See, because that's my desire. I want to travel more and see more of the world. So it's fed by joy, right? Which a
Mhm.
lot of people, to your point, we don't make decisions around finding joy.
No,
We make decisions on being obligated or what we're supposed to do, right?
responsible, secure.
Responsibility, secure, financial security, all that. So then I'm like, okay, well, I wanted to try and put all the pieces together with my guides during meditation on what does this travel look like? And guess what I got? Nothing. I got nothing. They're like, we're not telling you where you're going because you have to do step one.
Yep, exactly. I'm like, you don't skip classes. Like, come on. You
That's
get this
right.
done, you move on.
Yeah, so what do you know? I go to a cranial sacral session, which I hadn't been to recently because that's not in my like all the time rotation. It's like
Mhm.
every probably 8 weeks rotation. And and I said, okay, I'm probably going to be a mess on the table. I'm just letting you know because I'm trying to work out this pain. I really don't want to hear the message. And then all of a sudden, she's working on my cranial, and I feel the tears coming on, and I feel the waterfall of tears coming on, and I feel the body starting to jolt. And I was like, I don't want my job and I don't want to go to school. I was like, but I really do want to. I just want someone to pay for everything.
Like, that'd be good.
That'd be good. So I made a decision that day on the table after bawling my eyes out and apologizing to the therapist. I said, you know, I am going to go back to school and I am going to work differently. And I literally have not had the pain in 4 weeks at all. And I found my university to go to. I
Nice.
found the program and I'm three-fourths of the way through a group course that's going to teach me how to work differently because I'm so programmed, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And I'm pain free, pain free.
I'm glad to know that you walk the walk and talk the talk. You're a person that helps people get in touch with their intuition, and I love the fact that you shared this story with us so transparently. Because, like, yep, that's what it's saying. Not going to do it.
That,
Thanks for the answer. Nah, I don't like it. Not going to do it. Like, okay, fine. Suit yourself. Be in pain. And then they're like, "Ugh." And then
our
wait.
intuition is just so like I'm sorry to
No, no,
stop you,
not at
but
all.
our intuition is so powerful that going back to your question, I really don't think, part three is I don't think we want to trust that answer because
Mhm.
who are we trusting? If you're not connected to a higher source, let's say you were raised very religious and you were taught that God is a little man in the sky that's going to shame and blame you, which a lot of people were, I was. So I'm speaking from personal experience. If you're, who are you actually talking to in your intuition? A lot of people have that question for me.
Mhm.
Like, well, are you talking to angels? Are you talking to guides? Are you talking to God? Are you talking to your best friend? Who are you talking to?
You're like, yes.
Yes, and
You're
yes,
talking,
and
yeah,
and
you're
yes.
talking to all those. Exactly. Yep. Thanks for answering.
Yeah, and
Yep.
then the last part I think that is, what stops people from intuition is your kind of question of connecting to that is, and you said it actually earlier, our ego gets in the way.
Huge. Yep.
Don't you think our ego comes in and crushes our spirit and says, "You don't have money for traveling. You're not going to go back to school. You're 48 years old. What are you going to remember? How are you going to take a test and pass it?" Right? And so I went to my other healer. She does some lymphatic stuff for me. She's 68. And I told her, I was like, okay, I've decided June 1st, I'm going back to school. I've already registered, blah, blah, blah. She goes, oh, you're going to kill it. You're going to be great. See, we need more people like that in our lives.
Absolutely, we do. We do for sure. One of the things I like is that my cheerleading squad, they're internal.
Yes. Oh, yay.
Yep, exactly.
Who do you have on your cheerleading squad? Like, do you actually see them, or do you talk to them or hear them?
Uh, all of the above. Mostly, I hear them in my meditations and in my waking life. Obviously, well, I shouldn't say
Yes.
obviously, but I do.
Yeah.
The ones that I know, I mean, there's some that have names that I've Bartholomew, Bart for short.
Yeah.
I call him.
Okay.
But
Love
there are
that.
times, yeah, and there are times that I'll get a message. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like Bart. I'm like, and sometimes I'll ask, and sometimes I'm like, you know what? It doesn't really know. Maybe you have a name, maybe you don't. Doesn't really matter. I'm like, you're giving me wisdom. I'll see if it resonates, and if it does, I'll take it. If it doesn't, I'll let it go. But yeah, so Bartholomew and my mom are probably the two people
Aw.
I talk to most. So yeah.
Yeah.
But it can come. So wisdom comes from a variety of places, and like I said, sometimes I know the source. Well, I ultimately know the source, but I don't know the name or the entity or if there is an entity. But Bart and Mom are the two that I hear most often in my mind, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point too. I talk to a lot of guides, and I'm kind of like you. Some have names and outfits, and they heal certain things. And then others, it's just a feeling and it's a source. And the voice of intuition sounds like your own,
Mm.
And I think that's hard also for people that your intuitive voice, I always say it sounds a little nicer. It's like, hey, girl, you're doing good. Like,
You got this.
let's keep that, great job. Whereas your ego comes in and it's like, you're not really working hard enough. That was too long of a meditation, or it kind of is too strict and it's a little bit meaner.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. It is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, ego and I call it the voice of our inner dialogue and our higher self. Meaning, there's two voices that are always in our minds, for one better word, in our being. There's the inner dialogue that says, "That's pretty scary. I wouldn't tackle that," or like, "You're really not up for that." I'm like, "Do you think you have the knowledge to do that?" It's that negative loop that kind of keeps us at bay or tries to keep us at bay.
Yeah.
And one of the things I talk about all the time when teaching people how to meditate is that they are reluctant to start turning inwardly and being in silence because they think that inner dialogue will get very loud and be very crushing and be very debilitating. And I tell them, I'm like, sometimes it will be loud and sometimes it won't.
Yeah.
But as we progress with a meditation practice, it will become softer. And that's to my point. And then the other sound, the other voice that we hear of our higher self that says, you're all set, you're light, you're love, you're safe, you're protected, you always will be, you're good. So that was a whisper at the beginning. And that inner dialogue is like, ah. But
Yeah.
as you meditate, it's like, oh, awesome, cool. Now the only voice you hear is someone's like, "You got this. You're safe. No worries. Keep going." For
Yeah.
sure.
And don't you think, like, I think also that the reason why they call it a practice, I never really understood why they called it a spiritual practice,
Yeah.
is because you're literally practicing all the time. And so I always tell myself, like, you're practicing even if you've been doing this. I started to learn this in Colorado in my mid 20s when I was, seeking how to be a multimillionaire and to have the best career I could ever have, right? And that's when I found, what my intuition, and is this what I'm meant to do, and just constantly seeking.
Mhm.
And then a really bad divorce, and I lost all my money and started from zero and living with my parents, for 4 months while I could save up rent money. you
Right.
know, Learning how to trust your intuition so that you can get off your feet. And I was a single parent on top of that. So it's like I had to really dial in and get into my intuition because none of my friends were going through what I was going through.
Right. Right.
So, you feel very alone without your intuition.
Mm.
And I also tell people, if you are struggling with loneliness or friends, meeting friends, even finding a lover partner, or your intuition can be that for you,
Mm.
and so you're really never alone. And I think that's very important in the mental health world,
Huge.
is just we're never alone. Yes, your friend might not be calling you right now on the phone, but you can be quiet, go into your intuition, and have a full on comedy show if you want and lift yourself up.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that point that you make because it talks about one of the things I express a lot, and that is that one of the greatest benefits of my meditation practice is my feeling of connection to all life. And it's always there. Sometimes it's more profound,
Yeah.
but the thing that keeps us lonely or feeling that we're alone is not a reality, meaning that there are a variety of thoughts, just like we talked about earlier, about societal thoughts about what is loneliness, what is togetherness, what is communication. And when we're thinking about connection, obviously, well, not obviously, but one of the things I talk about is non-duality, meaning that I'm talking to you, you're talking to me, but the perception is that we are separate, but we are not separate. We are one light, and we're all one light, just pretty much splintered into different physicalities. So when we have a meditation practice, we can kind of insulate ourselves from all the thoughts that you are an individual. And right now, you may not
Yeah.
have friends, or you might not have a lover or a spouse or a partner, and you're alone. But the reality is, like, those are all categorizations and beliefs that we put on top of that we take from society. And we say,
Mhm.
and we sometimes we consciously take them, and other times just like, nope, I'm not thinking about anything else. So it's just washing over me with a meditation practice. And we can say, yeah, I don't want that washing over me. That's dirty. That's not what I believe. That's not what I think. But if we don't have a way of looking at what has value for us, then it's just going to wash over us, and it'll become part of who we are. And to the ultimate point with loneliness, like, you're connected to all life. Squash and
All
silence.
the time.
Yeah, all exactly all the time. So squash the voices that tell you if you don't have a boyfriend, girlfriend, that you're alone. If you don't have a functional family, you're alone. Like, that's all bunch of society telling you things. So tell it to take a flying you know what at the moon, because that's not
Yeah.
accurate. Feel the connection. And when you have that silence, then you definitely feel that connection, whether it be your intuition, whether it be that connection to source. And I love it too, because I love how you mentioned that there are times that I'll be talking with my guide Bartholomew, and for the most part, he's not a solemn guy, but every now and then he'll say something that was just like either cheeky or sarcastic, and I'm like, oh, you're coming at it from a different angle today. I'm like, okay, cool, we got this. But these
I love
conversations,
that.
yeah, absolutely, the conversations that I have with him and with my mom, it's just like, yeah, I'm never alone. The universe is in my back pocket. So
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point too, as far as intuition, because you can do some really cool shit when you are connected to your intuition. Like yesterday, I did a clearing on a remote clearing with someone's higher self that is really struggling. And, she's seeing and hearing voices. And I went into her energy field. And so my intuition guides me there. So I go into her energy field and I see this like black, looks like this black thing, sucker fish with wings, and it was like stuck in her brain, feeding her all these negative thoughts, negative thoughts, negative thoughts. So I took my guide, I call him the Indian chief, and he came in and he took the sucker thing out of her brain, and we put a big rose quartz in her brain, and this is all doing it energetic with her higher self.
right.
It's like that is how cool does shit get besides that? Like that is the coolest thing ever. It's like you can heal someone, of course, with their permission, and not without their permission, and actually heal them on an energetic level, which then helps them have a better life in the human level. Like
Exactly.
that's what the possibility of your intuition can do. So
Mm.
freaking cool.
Yeah, it is amazing. And I think going back to what you said earlier, I think many times we think about to the question I asked you is like, what makes us think that our intuition, why do we not put faith in our intuition? It's because of all these layers of things that have been put on top of it. Much like you were talking about earlier, it's like our intuition is nebulous, and we're like, it doesn't have any basis in fact, in science. But our
Yeah.
world says it has to. If it doesn't, then it doesn't exist. I'm like, no, that is a perception. But it's such a prevalent perception that kind of ingratiates itself into all our thinking that, like, if it can't be measured, if it can't be quantified, if it can't be discussed and articulated, then it doesn't exist. I'm like, ooh, that's been a promise. That's been a belief that's been around for hundreds of years, but that's not accurate. It's so when we get to that point where we're like, you know what? I don't believe that. So whatever I feel, I'm going to go with. And I'll be honest, when I was younger, I think we talked about this off air, maybe even in this interview, my mind is strong. So I figured, I'm like, if I got
Yeah.
any problem, my brain can handle this. I'm like, I don't need like woo woo intuition. I'm like, my brain's got this. And I was humbled many times
Were you?
until ultimately,
Yeah.
you're much like you and and the problem in your angel wing. You're like, you ready to
Yeah.
listen now? Like, yeah, let's get this done. I'm like, oh, life is easy now. I kind of
Yeah.
dig that. Integrating mind, body, spirit, and soul, getting them all together for sure.
And it's a practice. Like you're not
Yeah.
good at it in the beginning and you have to accept that. Like you're not good. I was terrible in the beginning. I mean, I was
Yep.
screwing up my own life while I'm practicing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's just like,
I like that because it's true of a meditation practice as well. And people ask me many times, like, why is it called a meditation practice? I'm like, because you'll never be a success. They're like, oh, that's horrible. I'm like, no, let's back it up. You will never perfect meditation. You will never get on the cushion day in, day out for the rest of your life and have the entire universe unfold itself to you, give you every answer. You will never step onto the cushion every day and have a mind that is absolutely blissful, serene, and
yeah,
sublime. There are
I
days,
love that.
yeah, there are days you're going to
That's
get up
really
and
good
come in.
advice.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you brought it up too with the work that you do. It's like I love the fact that there is the word practice because just like I've been saying ad nauseum, is that society gives us so many things to think about and talk about and believe, and that is one of them. Like especially in Eastern culture, maybe just globally, it's like nope. You know, if you start playing basketball. When you start, you're going to suck. But if you keep practicing, you'll be awesome and you'll be the best. Like meditation? Nope. It changes every day. Just like I was telling you, like sat on the cushion this morning and I was thinking about Spider-Man and I was thinking about lunch and I was thinking about, I'm like, but every time back to breath, back to breath. And some days it's easier and some days it's not. It's never good. You're never going to be proficient. And so that's one of the other things I think about too, is people say, am I doing it right? I'm like, are you spending time sitting in silence? Like, yeah, then you're doing it right. There is no right, but if there was a right, that would be it. It's not that you chose this type of meditation or that you were free of thoughts for this long of time. It's not a right. It's not a right or wrong. It's not a good or bad. It's like you took the time to move inwardly. So if you were gauging success, you were successful, regardless of what happened, regardless of whether your mind was sending you 9 million ways, Spider-Man, lunch, back to breath, back to breath, back to breath. Like, doesn't matter how many times you do it. As long as you sat and made time, then you're successful. Do you have challenges with that as well? Or have you come to embrace that as well? It's like, hey, whatever happens, happens.
Well, it depends on the day, like you said, but I also, when I'm introduced a new meditation, because I feel like I'll get really good at a meditation for a long time,
Mhm.
so I'll do, like you keep saying, breath, right? So I'll get really good at, let's say, ego eradicator, and I'm feeling, confident. My ego's quieter. It's not harassing me as much. I'm feeling like more connected to my breath. So then I'll switch up my meditation, and I'll do a meditation that requires a timer, a time limit. I'm sitting up instead of I'm laying down. I'm cross-legged instead of, straight-legged. So I'll challenge myself that way. And then I'm like, God, that was so hard. So hard. But I'm like, but I feel so good, you
Right.
know? So I do change it up on myself so I don't get stuck in a, 45-minute nap pattern,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'll do a 45-minute active meditation that is so hard that I'll dread it for another week, but then I'll do it again.
Right.
So I do
Wow.
like to kind of push myself in different, and then sometimes like my favorite easiest meditation is I went out and just purchased these Tesla lights, which are amazing. And it was a little bit of an impulse buy, but I really do love them. But my favorite thing is turning those on for 15 minutes, putting crystals all over my body, reading a Reiki mantra, putting it on my heart, and then whatever happens in 15 minutes, whatever happens, and I'm just detached from it. Right.
Right. Right.
I used to go into meditations and be like, I need 15 clients. I need to make 100 grand a year. I need this and that and this. Right. And I was like, screw all of this. I
Yep.
need to be calm. I need to be healthy. And I need to be nice to myself and to
Mhm.
those in my family. Like,
Yeah.
very simple, simple requests. And I have taken it from manifesting and doing everything to literally calm requests. And I'm so much more content. I
I
have
love that.
plenty of money. I have plenty of friends. I have plenty of family activities. And so, but I don't have to be in that grind mode during meditation. I think
Chasing.
people, yeah, and chasing and grinding and thinking. And because I think that's how I started meditation. If I really think back, I was like always grinding in my meditation,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, I love that. There are a lot of takeaways from that. First and foremost is people ask me because they've been meditating for so long. They're like, "What type of meditation do you practice?" I'm like, "Depends what comes to me when I sit down on my cushion in
Good.
the morning." So, like, do you do a Tonglen for 12 weeks at a time? Do you do a Metta? Do you do Vipassana? I'm like, I just literally sit down on the chair. I'm like, and listen to my intuition. What do I need? And then I'll just I might fire up Insight Timer and go for a guided meditation. I might
Yeah.
just sit in silence for 15 minutes and just think. And the other thing too is to be expectation free in my meditations. And
Yeah.
like, you know what? Whatever comes up, comes up. And I think that is one of the ways that I become or stay calmer than most is humbly is that we always have an expectation or an outcome. If I meditate, I'm going to be calm, or I better be calm. Or if I meditate because I want to become abundant, that it better happen in this meditation or may better manifest itself in the world. It's like my meditation allows me to be with whatever is and knowing that, like, just like we talked about earlier, there's no good, there's bad, there's whatever I want to add to that. And the other thing, too, is like, I'm always safe, I'm always protected, and I'm always going to have everything that I need. So, with all those things covered, I'm like, just be with what is. So if you go to a meditation and your brain is like jumping back 20 million times, you're like, that's how it is today. Okay. It's not like
Yeah.
I suck today. I'm like, God, I've been meditating for 40 years and I can't even get this down. I'm like, yeah, no, that's the most aberrant thought. I'm like, I haven't thought, well, I don't think I've thought that ever. But to your point, not having the expectation and just being like, you know what? Today's a busy mind day. I'm still gonna sit. I'm still gonna do all the things I do to practice meditation, um, and then I'll stop, and it'll change tomorrow, maybe, or it'll do the same. But things are always gonna change. So, long story short, it's like my meditation practice helped me understand. It's like, dude, just relax. It's all good. Everything's good. Love yourself.
I love that. Yes, just like, dude, relax. I can relate so much with that because I'm a, female entrepreneur. I'm a mom. I've been a single mom. I've been the primary breadwinner for my first marriage. And then I get to relax a little in my second marriage. I don't have to be that. So I've had to unravel who I was and
Mm,
still am. And I think that's also scary going back to like intuition and meditation. It's like, are you willing to maybe unravel who you are or
mm.
who you are expected to be? Right?
That's scary for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Huge.
it's scary for I think everyone. And I can't remember what teacher told me this, but she was like, have zero expectations, like zero.
That's my kind of teacher.
Okay. And
For
like
sure.
that's so hard, right?
Oh, huge. My listeners have heard me say this all the time. My mom, when I was growing up, when I was like 12, 13, teenage years, adolescence, pre-adolescence,
Oh,
I'd bring
yeah.
just some drama to her. Like, Mom, this is the
Yeah.
worst thing ever. So-and-so thinks I'm a jerk. Or like, oh, I'm like, she's like, sweetheart, relax. She's like, no, it's got to go like this. I got, she's like, no expectations. And I remember her saying that. And I'd be like, ugh. I was so frustrated. I'm like, you're not even listening to me. I'm like, you're like, you're not even listening to me. I'm telling you, it has to go like this. And she just said, no expectations. And obviously, as my listeners know many times, I'm like, couple decades down the road, I'm like, oh, that's what you were getting at. Okay, I got it now. Thanks, Mom.
Oh, see, she just showed up today for you. And
Oh, she shows up every day. Absolutely. But yeah, letting go expectations is where we're at. And thinking about on a wildly esoteric level, I'm like, one of the things I talk about here many times with guests and with students is the perception of who we are.
yeah,
The perception that that I am male, I'm Italian, I am this political party, this religion, like those are all make believe. The reality is none of us exist. And that is really scary for people to think about. And they're like, what do you mean we don't exist? I'm like, there, all the things that you think you are labels that you've been given. And it's to make things easier because you are in physical form. So of course you have to have some semblance of being. And that's where our ego comes in to say, okay, you're this, and that. That's how people know that Lillian's Lillian and Tom is Tom. It's like, that's all like a misperception. It's all an illusion, but it's an illusion we have to buy into on the physical plane so that we can interact, so we can expand and talk and grow. But just because it's necessary now in a physical form doesn't mean it's the reality. It is the reality that we all created and we all buy into. But getting back to your point, it's like if we buy into that I am this, all these categorizations, and somebody upsets that apple cart, you're like, who am I? I'm like,
yeah.
I was told I was this, but like this tells me I'm this and this tells me I'm that. It's like, so yeah, trying to find our identity is huge for a lot of people. And with a meditation practice, one of the things that's beneficial is like, cool, somebody told me I'm nice. Does that resonate
You're
with
not nice.
you? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, it's like, yep. You know what? You're everything. You're a rat bastard and you're a nice guy. It's like, so, but what resonates with you and just seeing if it resonates with you, your perception of who you are, whether it be real or imagined, the core of who you are, when you silence the world, what do you feel? Hopefully it's love and kindness and compassion for yourself so that you can spread that to others. But maybe it isn't. And that's okay. It's being with whatever is. And that's where meditation practice is wildly helpful. Does that resonate with you in that case as well?
Oh, yeah. Yes. And sometimes I find that I set like a goal for a meditation, and it's not an expectation, but it's a goal. Like, so currently, I want to think more globally, like how I can help heal more people, right?
Mm.
Without making it a business. Okay. Not talking about like the business and money
Yeah,
and da da da. Just like, how can I help more people? Where does my energy need to go in like a charity form?
I love that.
So I try, and so then I'll just go into meditation and ask for clarity around that. Like, because there's so many people that we can help out there, and just by where we put our energy, and it doesn't have to be money. It
No,
can it can
exactly.
it can just be thoughts and energy. And so I'm trying to get clarity with my intuition, not the outside world's needs.
Mhm.
Excuse me, but what does my spirit want to do? Where does she want to put her time and energy? What charity does she want to give to? And that's where I've been for the last like probably month or two. So
Mm.
also it's not like every day I go into meditation like that, but it's like, oh yeah, we're still working on that. Okay, yeah, let's revisit that in our meditation today, something like that.
I, yeah, I like that. I make the distinction between expectation and intention, meaning like, okay, and I resonate with that question because I come up with that question all the time. Like, how do I best serve the world? I'm like, not how can I best serve the world so I'll make money. I'm like, money's
Right.
irrelevant. I'll always have what I need and I'll always be taken care of. That's not an issue. My goal is to how do I change the world in a positive way? How do I take the gifts that have been bestowed upon me, connection to light, and make the world a better place? Where do I need to do that? Because I have clients. I'm a coach, but and even though I love working one on one with people, I want to be global, meaning I want to be making a difference, not one person at a time. Not that there's not value in that, of course, because we know there's a ripple effect. But to your point, where are my talents needed the most? Whether it be, and actually, that's one of the reasons Zen Commuter came into being, because that's one of the things I got in my meditation. It's like start a podcast.
Me too.
Yeah, but there you go.
I was like,
Absolutely.
podcasting. I don't even know. I can barely work my PC.
Well, it's so funny because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, that sounds like a lot of work. That sounds really hard. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, eventually now it's
that's
just second
awesome.
nature.
Look at you.
Look at us. Uh, well, Lillian, we have come upon our hour. I like to keep things
Okay,
under an hour.
let's do it.
I have really enjoyed our conversation today. Before we go, we're going to stay on, as my listeners know. But before we do say goodbye to listeners, how can they follow you and the work that you're doing, avail themselves to your skills, your gifts, and the things that you do?
I would love if they would check out my podcast. It's Awaken Change,
Nice.
and I'm still a newborn, so I have about 24 episodes, I think, right now.
Nice.
I'm practicing,
There
right?
you go.
And then I would love if they would listen and leave a review. That it's always exciting because I want to know what people want to chat about. I do listen about it from my intuition, but I would love to hear some feedback or review. And then if they want to learn more about guides and intuition and have something tangible, I do have my book on Amazon. It's called Fill Your Soul, The Feminine Way, and it has lots of little exercises. It's meant for all ages. You can do it as a family or individual. And
Hey,
then I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Awaken Change as well. So
awesome. Well, Lillian, thank you so much for our time today. What
thanks,
an
Tom.
joy. It's been so fun. And I knew it would be, of course. But you stick around.
Yes,
You say goodbye to listeners. And thank you again.
thank you.
Well, my friend, I am sure this will not come as a shock to you, but I love it when I get to laugh with my guests. A lot of times we talk about some pretty heady stuff, some pretty serious stuff, but I love the fact that for whatever reason, I always gravitate towards guests who talk about heavy duty stuff without talking like it's heavy duty stuff. Obviously, that was the case with Lillian. Ah, what an absolutely lovely, lovely woman. I had such a great time. And I'm hoping that you got something from the interview as well. Not just the energy, but some things to think about in regards to how you see the world. One of the things I talk about on Zen Commuter all the time is how our meditation practice can help us see the world as it resonates for us. If we don't have a meditation practice, if we don't even have a self-reflective aspect of our life, then life just happens to us. And many times, because we think that it does happen to us, we don't have a feeling of control. And of course, that's going to bring on a lot of stress. But the ultimate realization is that, of course, you have control over your life, how you see life, how you interact with life, how you interact with each other, and the very perception that there are others, or the misperception that there are others when we think about non-duality. So there were a lot of things to take away from today's interview, and I'm glad that we did it in such a joyful, light way. So, my friend, you go think about the things Lillian and I talked about today. Know that I'll be back here tomorrow with another episode of Zen Commuter in the morning and another episode of Calmer in 5 in the evening. But for right now, this is Tom Walters for Zen Commuter signing off, saying make the rest of your day absolutely spectacular, and I will see you on the road.